All right, I'm back in that moment. And so I'm trying to think, just making sure I get the light, and we'll try that a little bit. This is the Prussia Blue, which is going to be darker. And I'm going to paint wet on dry. And so I'm just going to get this, and I'm just going to just start shadows. I want something dark, but not too dark, because you know where I'm going next. I'm going to basically have, as you can see, I'm doing circular motions. I'm going to basically go to the black next. So I'm going to cut out here. As you can see, I'm going to go and I'm going to let it blend a little bit. I'm not worrying about that. Getting rid of any white that existed before. I'm going to check that circular motions, and I want the darker layer, okay? And then I'm going to pop back on when I do the black, and you'll get to see me do that a little bit. Okay, so I used the hair dryer. I call it the air dryer because I don't have any hair. And I am now going to add the black. I've been debating, in the art room I have the bigger, softer brushes. I think it will work much better with that than these watercolor brushes I'm using right here. I'm just wondering if it's just a little too stiff. So I'm gonna get with the black. And I'm going to just start laying black. Now I might have to lay black twice because I want it to be dark in some areas. As you can see, I'm overlapping where some of the yellow might come through, some of the blue, and I'm just going to take my time doing this. By the time I'm done with this one, I will move to the other one. I'm just focused on each of them. At the very end, I will show you the difference between the two, not so much in looks, but how they reacted to the water and the method that I use. You as students and learners, you guys choose which way you want to do it. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter. There's a way to actually remove the wrinkles and stuff, and that is, maybe I should do a video on that. It's just taking a towel and an iron and flip your paper upside down on another piece of paper. I always do it on another piece of paper because you never know what you'll get. Sometimes you'll get these really cool transfers, depending on the watercolor. And what you would do is iron it. Put the towel right on top of the back and you iron it, and it'll actually flatten out your paper. Now the other thing is you can press it in a book. That'll flatten out your paper too. But like I said, I wouldn't worry about it too much, especially when you're learning. I know some of these galaxies you guys are going to do are going to look amazing, but they're not going to be show worthy. Don't get caught up in the beauty, but it will be a method that you can do in your background and add to it. Make it more than just a sky and stuff like that. And so I'm going to finish this, and when I come back, I'm probably going to have to put little chapter things. I'm going to talk about the stars, and we'll go from there. And I'll have both of these done with 2 layers of black. This is kind of dry, so some areas I'm going to do a second layer of black, not too thick, because that way we don't get the sticky black. We don't want it sticky. Don't be lazy and rush, because it'll become pretty obvious that what's going on there. So I'll see you in a bit. Well, hello everybody, I'm back, and I am not completely happy with the black, but I gotta move forward. normally I would go back in. I know what the issue is. My watercolor brush was used for acrylic paint, and I realized it wasn't bending the way I normally bend it, because I just tried, like you'll notice this is darker here, so I grabbed a new version of that brush, and it worked just fine and got the darkness the way I want it. In the classroom, those black brushes, which seem like the cheap ones, or actually be perfect for this. Now, I'm going to make the stars, and I want to just show a couple things, because I want to just get a little bit of paint going. And the brush I was talking about, you can see the hot pink, because you know that's the color I always use. I'm going to get some water. This is acrylic paint. Normally I would use gouache, but gouache is kind of expensive. So I just want to get it a little water, and I'm going to mix the paint a little bit to make it a little loose. I don't want too much water. I just want a little water into the acrylic paint. You guys will have a different kind of bottle. I took it to the school. I'll make it easy. Now, why we're going to do this for the stars, and I'm going to get this brush out of the way, is because we're going to use a toothbrush, not a paintbrush. It could be done with a paintbrush, but paintbrushes, if you flick the stars, sometimes you'll get too much of a splatter. This will give you more speckle. As you can see, I got the freebie from the dentist, and hopefully there's going to be a good amount of toothbrushes at the school. I believe there are. If not, I will get some more. So I was going to show you the white pen. Why don't we just go in and make stars this way? You could, but you will find that to be very time consuming. So what we want to do is, I'm just going to get my brush in there, and I'm going to just spread before I flick, just because I know it chunked up there, and then I will just kind of spray it. As you can see, I get stars of different sizes. Right now I'm just getting a light spray, but when I really dig in there, and then I'm going to gently spray or gently rub on, just because I want to make sure I don't get big splatters. You can see all the different stars I'm going to get, and I'm going to do the other one, and then I'm going to pull the tape. I'll have one of the already pulled up, but I just want you to see how I'm going to pull the tape of this one, because I had it kind of a messed up tape job anyway, and we will see the effect. And I'm going to show you now, when it comes to the painter's tape, it's not going to matter very much. So we're going to transition here. All right, the paint's not completely dried on the white speckle, but that'll be okay. Now when I take the tape off, I have to look to see what's on top and what's not. First thing I'm going to do, remember there was a second layer, and I had even warned that colors might leak through, which they did. I was expecting that. I'm going to crumple this up right now, that way it doesn't stick to stuff. I'm going to take this piece off. Notice that when I pull, I'm turning this way. Now, I am discovering the painter's tape's a little stickier. You can see that it's actually ripping some of the paper. Not as bad as normal. And I might, from the future, just kind of rub it on my leg like I showed early in part one, because I realize I'm going to have to split this into two parts. And okay, and then I'm going to gently, oops. You see what happened there? I didn't pull it from the side, and I caught paper and it pulled it out. This definitely prevents this, and we don't want to do that, because if it happens, it's not the end of the world. It just doesn't look as clean. Now I want to compare the two different, I'm trying to avoid a white paint bottle here, ways of doing it, which was to soak it in the tub versus just taping it down and getting it wet. Now, I will tell you right now, which is probably going to be hard to see in the photo. Hopefully they look like galaxies. I have discovered my watercolor demonstrations aren't that great. So that's going to be my goal, but I want you to see how flat that's looking. And this is also stretch, but like I said, done in a different way. And you can see that it is looking flat, but there's little bows to it. So which method is better? It's a personal choice. I like to soak my paper and then lay it down, but I won't lie to you. You might get this, which does not look very clean, more often than you'd get this. When you tape it down first, you will almost always get a clean cut, which with the occasional leak through, and that's okay. So you need to decide which is better for you. Now this is when I'm matting, I would of course mat up to the picture itself, or find a nice little section that I leave out so I can write on it, the title and name and stuff. So you guys enjoy making these galaxy, and do me a favor, make them look so much better than mine like you did on the last project. And guys, you are amazing, you are wonderful, and you already have made me proud. Thank you. Bye-bye.